Now in Excel, we can automate the creation of this histogram with this information. To have Excel create this automatically, we'll go to the Data section on the upper ribbon and go to Data Analysis in the upper right corner. We want a histogram, so we select the histogram option from the list. Press OK, and this takes you to a new menu. I'll create a copy of this menu and we'll go over what everything means. In the Histogram menu, there are three things we need to select. First, the input range. For the input range, we're going to put our list of data from column A. So we would click into this input range, select all of our data from column A, and place it here. In the bin range, what we do is select our upper limits, and only our upper limits, and place that in the second box. For our output range, we'll need some place where this new histogram will be placed. So you want to select somewhere on the table that has a lot of empty space, and we may need to scroll down to get some. Also, make sure that we check the box that says Chart Output to give us a picture of our histogram. After doing all of these things, we'll click OK. Let's demonstrate this now. We'll scroll back up, go to Data, Data Analysis, in the upper right, Histogram from the list, and press OK. In the first box, we select our data in column A, where we started. Start in A1, move our mouse down until we have all of the numbers selected. If we go outside the numbers, it's okay as long as you keep the mouse held down. When you release, you'll be back in this menu. For the bin range, we have to scroll back up now and select only our upper limits, not the lower. So we'll draw our green box around only the upper limits and release. That takes care of the second part. For our output range, we select this button, click in this box. We'll scroll down to get a little bit more room. Somewhere below this picture should be okay. So I'll click in C41. Also click Chart Output, and when you press OK, your frequencies will be created, and you may have to look for your frequency histogram. Seems that Excel moved it all the way up to the top, so let's move it next to our figures by clicking into the white space and dragging it downward. We'll put it near our frequencies so we don't lose it. Now once again, our labels are slightly misplaced, so let's make an edit to those. Where the bin says 10, remember that the upper and lower class limits we entered were 0 to 10, so I'll enter those now. And then where it says 21, that was 11 to 21. And then where it says 32, it was 22 to 32. And I'll quickly enter the rest of the labels. Notice we also have an entry that says more, but this should always be 0 if we've done our class width properly. So now we have our list of frequencies, and if we want to calculate the relative and cumulative, we can continue by finding the total. Once again, remind ourselves that the total is equals sum, open the parentheses, and then add all of the frequencies together. You can leave out the more if you like, because that should be 0 if you've done it properly. If it's not 0, then it's possible there's an error in your previous calculations. I'm going to leave it in this time because it shouldn't make much difference. We'll say equals sum, parentheses, select all of our frequencies, and close the parentheses, giving us 71 data points. This is what we started with, so this should be fine. We'll paint this gold. And now after this, we can calculate the relative frequencies. Let's remind ourselves that the relative frequency is equal to the frequency over the total. So we'll say equals the frequency, divide by the total, and we must tell Excel that the total is always 71. So once again, press F4 to apply the dollar signs to the total. Again, don't apply the dollar signs to the frequency. We press OK, and we get the relative frequency is 0.85915. Once again, we can use the autocomplete tool, that's the black cross. Click on the knob on the bottom right, hold it down, and draw your box. Release the button, and you'll see most of the relative frequencies are 0 because we have 0 frequency for a lot of these boxes. Now for the cumulative. Remember, our first cumulative is always the same as the frequency, 61. Our next cumulative is the frequency on this row. Make sure it's on the same row, that's the 5, and add it to the previous cumulative, that's the 61. So the new frequency is in blue, and the previous frequency is in red. Add it together to get 66. Once again, move your mouse to the bottom right-hand corner, get the black cross, click the button, hold it down, and release. This will calculate the cumulative frequencies for all of the rest of the classes. Once again, at the end, we should get 71 because that matches the total. If we want to, we can clean this histogram up slightly. The generic title of histogram is not the best. So we'll edit this, backspace the word histogram. Now, this data we've collected is the lead content in parts per billion of the drinking water in certain homes in Flint, Michigan. So we'll call this the lead content of drinking water in Flint, Michigan. Let's expand the graph by moving our mouse on top of this handle in the bottom central section to get the double arrow. This will make the graph slightly larger and easier to read. Now, these generic axis titles, the one on the left going up and down that says frequency is actually correct. On the bottom it says the word bin, which is not the most suitable title. We'll change this name to something more descriptive, like lead content in parts per billion, or ppb, as they say. And so now we have a completed frequency histogram based on a long list of data. Counting this all by hand would have taken us a much longer time.